Hello and welcome back to the Fixing Football Podcast, the finest fixing football podcast in the world. It's like a podcast where you fix stuff. And I've got full house tonight. I've got Liam O'Meara, Luke Foley and Scott Naylor with us. Let's go around the table. We've finished up the season nicely. And I say nicely, quite disappointing for a few of us. Luke, let's start with you. Probably the chirpiest in the WhatsApp group that we've seen all year, this last couple of days. So, how are you, mate? How do you want to summarise the season? Got a couple of good big talking points to go through. But first of all, how are you?
I'm okay. Bit fatigued. Had a lot of races recently, so a bit tired. Other than that, yeah, I'm bang on.
Bang on. Scott, what about you, mate? How do you summarise your end of the season weekend?
There was a lot of inevitability about it. I was flicking back and forth between the games that were on, and it was so I had Chelsea on for the most part, and then I was sort of flicking back and forth, and then when I saw that City went 1-up in after about 5 seconds, I was like, fuck it all. Like at least a little bit of drama would have been nice, but wasn't really to be. So from my perspective, it was highly enjoyable, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah, I will. I was going to say it's nice of you to start watching Chelsea again at the last game of the season, so it's probably a good time to get in at the last, at the death. Liam, disappointment weekend. Unfortunately, we had our big preview midweek, and unfortunately, Bolton didn't get the job done. So we'll start with you on the biggest talking point, is that Bolton failed to get it done. We're still going to be a League One supporting podcast for the next season. First of all, how was the day?
Run you through always a great trip.
Yeah, go on, run us through your day a little bit.
Run through the day. We headed down to Watford Junction, which is where we've always gone to. One of the lads drove. He's off the booze, so we drove down to Watford Junction, had a boozy breakfast at O'Neill's in Watford. If anyone's been there, it's a great away pub. Got myself a nice breakfast, had some booze, and then straight on the train to Wembley, direct from there. 11-minute train in Wembley, and in a pub right adjacent to the ground. Had a walk down Wembley Way, got into the concourse, a few beers, and yeah, it was a brilliant day out. Nice weather.
At that point, are you confident or getting more and more nervous as it starts to get close to kick off?
I don't know. It's hard to exactly explain how I felt going into the game. I was neither confident or nervous. I was just kind of like, sort of ready for it to come. I was kind of like, okay, what will be, will be. I suppose, confident we would put performance in. Obviously, that's proven to be quite misguided now, because it's probably the worst performance we've put in 2 years. So, yeah, I wasn't nervous, I would say. I had a feeling that we'd be okay, but we obviously weren't, and it was awful. But I suppose we're going to talk about the game next when Luke's getting ready with his questions.
Well, Luke, there wasn't a shoe shopping trip to be had this weekend, and I'm sure you're probably the most disappointed out of all of us that Bolton didn't get the job done.
Yeah, it means I'm going to have to fork out 200 odd quid out of my own money, because Liam sold me down the river, basically.
Or you could go double or nothing for next season and wait.
Not a chance. Not a chance. I got told this was the easiest league, that it was a guarantee, and it was a failure if you don't come top 2, so...
Wait, listen. What if we promise this time it's definitely going to happen?
No. Never again.
You're never listening to Liam again?
No.
After all them promises that he made?
Well, look, I don't want to kick Liam while he's down.
Oh, really? Because you spent most of the weekend doing that on WhatsApp.
I'm sure Liam can do the same to me, so... Well, I think Liam knows it's been a failure, but it is what it is, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do the same to you. And I think one of the things I've really learnt this weekend, I think this is more of a modern football thing, maybe with sort of fans on the internet kind of way. It's almost worse to try and fail than to not try at all now. Like, it's almost seemed to me that fans that have got nothing to play for are more comfortable. And I sort of thought about it more with what Ange was saying with Spurs. I started to think, that's not just a Spurs thing. That's a English football mentality. Like,
yeah, there's about 12 teams failing like that this weekend, at least, probably more.
Yeah, exactly. No, City have now won 6 out of the last 7 Premier Leagues. And everyone seems pleased about it. Like, it suits everybody by the looks of things. And it's almost like they don't need to try. And the fans seem almost happy as long as their rival's not winning it. That's like them winning. And I just think, I don't know. It was a very weird weekend, I think, for that. Like, obviously our result was really disappointing. And I wrote something on it. I don't know if you guys read it. Like, I did a bit of writing.
Yeah, we shared it.
Yeah, I really don't know where we go from here as a club. Like,
well, let's just touch on that for a second.
Yeah.
There's quite a few loans returning, so there'll be a lot of squad places opening up. Bolton are now facing what looks like a tougher League One than it has been for a while, with some quite big name teams in there like Birmingham, and obviously we've got the power that is Wrexham, the unstoppable force that is Wrexham coming up, our friends. So there's going to be some big matches and some big teams in that league now. Now, obviously, we spoke at the beginning of the season about it being potentially one of the weakest, and it was a great time for Bolton. Listen, it is what it is. We've missed out on that opportunity. But what do Bolton do? Do you need quite a bit of time to reassess it here, or do you think they need to go as early as possible and try and build on? You know, they had a good team for a lot of the season, and they've just left it at the final hurdle here. So
yeah, I don't know if I completely subscribe to the idea that it's going to be much harder this year. I think your Stockports and Wrexhams are going to have a bit of a rude awakening about how strong the top end of League One is, unless they strengthen significantly, which they can do because, of course, they can use their additional revenue streams, which are completely legal revenue streams. There's no thing on that, to essentially pump as much money as they want into it. That's the issue with Wrexham. It's fundamentally unfair, but also very fair. But you know, it is what it is. But I think they're going to have a bit of a rude awakening. Birmingham, yeah, they're going to be strong. There's no question about it. That's a massive club, so they're going to be strong. We at Bolton, there's no one there bigger than us. But we do need a bit of time to feel sorry for ourselves. But the sooner we snap out of it and make our decisions about who's staying, who's going, what's this team going to look like, and we need some new blood in there, because at the moment, we've got a few players that have failed at the final hurdle a few too many times to my liking. So we need some new blood in there, some people that aren't necessarily as held back by that failure, and go at it again. That's all we can do, unfortunately. We just got to go again.
Well, that's fair. We all need time to grieve. Speaking of which, we could talk about Arsenal and the Premier League title race for a minute. Obviously, disappointing, but coming out of the weekend, I was never going into it thinking we were going to do it. It was just riding on hope, and the odds were that both teams were going to win, and we weren't going to get it done. That was just the fact. We were expecting this unstoppable team to potentially draw to a team that have been on the beach that long. Most of them are pretty sunburnt, that they've got nothing to play for. The manager's already said his goodbyes. So, yeah, it was just more hope than anything else, than thinking we could actually get it done. But, so, the disappointment, I know everyone's like to have a laugh and a joke over the last couple of days, but I've not really took that much to heart, because it's disappointing. I think we've had a great season, but you can see where the margins are with 2 points, and that's basically it's like, if you look at the way it's finished up, both teams have finished on 28 wins, and City have just ended up with 2 more draws than us, turned a couple potential losses into draws and managed to hang on or nick draws where they needed to, and that's been the difference. So I've not really much else to say. It's been a great season, and I think I'm we're still progressing. It looks like there's no signs of it slowing down. So I'm just keen to get next season going already. Really,
I don't disagree. I think it's been a brilliant season, Premier League, which is ultimately what you were aiming for. I think it is. I think it would have been nice to have a cup final in there. I think you're missing that. I think that's something Liverpool quickly realised. You can't put all your eggs in the Premier League basket when you're up against Man City if you want to start coming out, because this is becoming an era, I would say, for Arsenal, like a period where they're really strong. And what you don't want to do is, I'm seeing people criticising Klopp's reign because there's not enough Premier Leagues there. I just think it's ridiculous. But that's what certain fans from a certain club will say. Not naming which club that would be, that would seem to like to point to that as if it matters. But I think next season, with the size of the squad that you've got to look at cups as well, because you might not win the league. You might be very good again, but you might not win the league.
Yeah, and I were, as long as, like, even to finish in the same position because of the strength of the league, even to finish in the same position as you did last season is an improvement. It's like to not fall back, and if you stand still, you're going to fall back. So we have continuously improved, but obviously it's just not enough. We're playing against some absolute monster of a team that just feels hollow. I don't even feel like gutted that City have won it. It's like quite hollow to me. It's not like we've been beaten by a great team on the pitch, but there's just this overriding soullessness to Man City that I don't agree with, that I don't like, other than the fact that I love De Bruyne and Phil Foden's been amazing this season. That's pretty much it for that team for me. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, Scott.
Well, my first thought is the backpedaling on this podcast is absolutely outrageous. I've been hearing non-stop.
Who's been backpedaling?
You then just said, "Oh, we're just going into the final day with a little bit of hope." You've been going on about you lot winning the league for months and months and months, and what have you done? You fucked it up. You bottled it. And this whole, but we're up against Man City. No. We're up against City. They're so strong. That is the bar. Whether we like it or not, that is the level.
Nah, that's bullshit.
We didn't bottle it because we've won 18 games in 20. Like, we could have won 19. That's the level. That is the bar. And if you want to be up there competing,
that's a joke. That's bullshit. Bullshit. Call it bullshit. That's a load of shit.
How so?
Can't win 18 games out of 20 and say that's bottling it. Oh, we fucked it up.
You just did. You just did. You literally just done that exact thing and didn't win anything.
No, you said we should have won 19.
Yeah, you should. If you wanted to win the league, that's exactly what you need. How many more points did you need to win the league? How many more points did you need?
2, 3 to win the league.
3. Oh, so one more win would have done it then. Oh, well.
The West Ham game sticks in the mind, doesn't it? That West Ham home game really, really does stick in the mind. What do you think, Luke?
What about the Villa game? Emery doing the double over him. Or the Fulham game.
Fulham game was
Mykhailo Mudryk took 2 points off you. That's interesting, isn't it? Those 2 points that you desperately needed to bring the glory days back. The one that got away took them from you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the one who sounds like an idiot here, so it's just I'm happy to you two to keep digging yourselves a grave. You just sound so stupid because it doesn't tell the actual story.
Is a broken man in denial about what happened to his beloved club. He gave it the big and he fucked up.
No, I didn't. I said I had a vision that we'd win it on goal difference. I didn't say at any one point we're going to smash the league. I said we were going to win it on goal difference in about.
You said February. You were going to win the league. You said you were going to win the league. You said it multiple times. We have recordings on a public forum that have you saying.
Yeah, because I believed that. Wasn't like I wasn't posting facts, reading scripture. I'm just some idiot who just had a fucking belief in his team. You're the one. Honestly, I can't believe what you're saying. I honestly think the only game we've played bad in this year is the Fulham game, where we proper didn't turn up. The other games that we ended up losing, we should have been 3-4-0 up by half time. We got caught, and it's just the way it goes sometimes. But like that Fulham game is the only one where it was like a really bad performance. Then we doubled that up with the West Ham one. But then, yeah, what about the Villa one? We should have been 4-0 up at half time. And then, we lose, but
By
lose to a team
margins,
that
as they
finished
say.
fourth. Yeah, it is.
Martin, do you think Scott and Luke are being unfair?
I think they're being really, really bitter. And Scott's like probably riding on high because he's only just started watching football again now that Chelsea started winning a few games, which is fair enough. Like I get it. I know it's been really embarrassing for a while for Chelsea, but fair play. I can take it. You can say what they want. They're wrong.
I don't think you can take it though. And that's the problem.
I
I think your problem is that if you could take it, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
What do you want me to do?
What
Just
was
sit here and not reply? We've got to have some audio back and forth here.
This is true. One, I am on a high, and it's probably something to do with what Liam touched on, that I've seen our rivals. I don't want to call Arsenal. Are Arsenal? Yeah, I hate Arsenal. I've seen you fail miserably, and that does warm my soul a lot. And I feel like that's. I understand Liam's point that seeing a team like people are happy to see City go and win it at the expense of another team, and I get that's problematic, but I also don't care because I would much rather see City win it for 1,000 years than see you lift that trophy even once.
Fine, Luke.
The other thing that bothers me is the narrative and how you've changed it now. I think Christmas time, you can't deny it, Martin. You were saying you were going to win the league, and you're doing all the over celebrations, all the Arsenal players. Like I keep sending the photo of Odegaard in the camera, but when it comes to it, you've fallen at the last hurdle. So
We didn't. We won. How did we fall at the last hurdle? We won 18 games out of 20.
Yeah, but that's not good enough. Is it? It's not good enough. And you was celebrating at Christmas time. That was the problem.
No, we weren't. We was actually on a poor run of form at Christmas time. It was after Christmas we started doing well.
You was top of the league
on Christmas Day, and then we were fourth on day.
But there we go. It's the over celebration and the
Who's been over celebrating? What are you on about? You just retweet, spewing what some dickhead Jamie Carragher goes on about. You know, no ideas of your own. Just keep sending words and phrases that other people have said and saying, "Oh, you're over celebrating." Like it's a problem to celebrate beating City or beating Liverpool or twatting United for a millionth time in a row. Like, where's this over celebrating come from?
There was an interesting interview with Pep today I listened to, and I think the main point from it was they don't worry about the league at Christmas time. It says that after Christmas time we concentrate, and I think that's where Arsenal has fallen down.
Yeah, well, there's an interview with Rodri as well, and he was going on about mentality. Like we came to the Etihad and sat on a draw, when really in four matches against City this season, they only managed one shot on target against us. So I don't know what. There's a weird narrative being posted about their mentality as well, which I think is on the decline, but obviously not enough for us to take advantage this year. So look,
we're not saying the Arsenal have not played bad. They've been brilliant this year, but it's again, you can't at Christmas time say you're going to win the league.
Yeah, I can. At Christmas time, of course I can. Because that's what I thought was going to happen.
So,
and we were still good on the last day.
I think what Luke's saying is you can't say anything on this podcast about what might happen in the future.
Unless it's fact.
You might be wrong. It's basically the lesson.
Well, you was wrong. You was wrong, Liam.
Well, Luke, you might have missed the prediction episode last week. I think you had some more commitments, but we did rehash the idea that you did predict that United would finish above City this year.
The most wrong, actually, of all of us.
Yeah,
you were
the most wrong.
Statistically, the most wrong, Luke.
That's fine. I was.
This has turned into a sniping episode. But it's fine. We can get it out of the way. Arsenal lost.
Bring the good times back. Let's lift the mood a bit.
How can that happen?
How can we lift my mood? Let's talk about Chelsea. Oh,
I don't know why that'd lift your mood.
No, because I really enjoy a 25-minute monologue on why Pochettino should now stay. So I'm.
You three morons have nothing to say.
I actually think Chelsea's probably the only team that's now completed its objectives this season.
I'll agree. Scott, just let us just talk about the end to Chelsea season, and let's go into what you're thinking for going into next season. Now you've got European football.
Yeah, it was extreme. Well, we couldn't have asked for a better end to the season. I think we won our last 5, maybe even our last 6 games in a row. It might have been 6 in the end. But no, really strong performances. It did help that we were coming up against mostly teams who didn't have a great deal to play for. So I think the fixture list was somewhat kind, but there were also games that we struggled in the reverse fixture rather. So yeah, I mean, 5 or 6 wins out of as many possible, nothing really to complain about, and it's a sign that either by happy accident or by sheer perseverance, Poch is getting a tune out of this team, and it's just going to be a case of adding and removing the right pieces and hoping that we can build on what we've done. I actually looked, I think in terms of last season versus this, I think Chelsea are the most improved in terms of points gained based on last season. I think Chelsea gained like 20 points from last year. Just for notes, United were second bottom of that list. They lost 15. But so it's clear signs that one way or another, heading in the right direction. Like you said, we've done the job that Poch came to do. So yeah, we've now just got to look to not upsetting the apple cart too much, making sure that we bring in the right people and let the right people go. And sadly, one of those could be Pochettino, but remains to be seen. It's still very much up for debate.
Sadly. Did you say sadly there?
Yes, I did.
So you're giving Martin stick, but then you've changed your tune as well. Because not a month ago, you were saying Poch out, the worst manager ever.
Did I say that a month ago? It must have been more than a month ago. We've been all right for the last month. My view on Poch has been very well documented. I never wanted him in the first place. He was terrible in the early parts of the season. But since the new year, performances haven't been amazing until maybe the last 6, 7 games. But he's done all right. And you've got to, if we gave him a target of Europa League and he's done it, you can't really, whether he's done it in the most beautiful way possible is another question. But he's achieved his objective. And the reason I say sadly is because I think if we do make a change, I think one, it's a weak market for managers who could come in and replace him. There's no obvious upgrade. And 2, it's more disruption after 2 years of nothing but disruption and upheaval. So I think even if he isn't the greatest manager in the world, keeping him does more good than harm, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Scott, you are forgetting that once again you said something and then change your mind, which Luke doesn't allow most of the time.
That is true. Yeah, so minds are not allowed to be changed. That is my apologies, Luke.
So, Luke, over to you and Man United. Let's have a quick summary of the season. What you think of Erik ten Hag going forward, whether there is a going forward with him, and your hopes for next season.
Well, has my view changed at all throughout the season?
No, United have stayed pretty shit, so it wouldn't have changed. I think it's probably
so
why.
Yeah. So I agree. Like I said, all the way through the season, I said United have been shit. Ten Hag's been terrible. So yeah, I think I think this is probably United's worst. What I've seen, United's worst ever season out of all post Fergie. I think
14 losses, minus 1 goal difference as well. I think, yeah.
I think I thought that Ralph Rangnick period was one of the worst football I've ever seen, but from the start of the season to the end, this has just been abysmal. No idea, no plan. Just a team not working together. Just an awful season.
Funny to see your mood change. It's funny to see your mood change when we start talking about Man United. It's just that's cheered me up a little bit anyway. Like, let's talk about next season then. What have United got to do?
Get rid of Ten Hag? I don't know. I honestly don't know. How many seasons do we have to go through this where it's all the players that need to go, it's the manager? I honestly, I've not a clue what to do next with United. I think, yeah, miracle, Jesus, bring back
Gabriel,
Jesus.
Gabriel Jesus, he
is
might
that-
be up for sale.
You know, need more goals, not less. You know, is Dan Ashworth starting at the? Is he now working at United now? Is that all confirmed?
I don't know, Scott. I don't know. I don't know what's
Don't know.
going on.
Well, it would be good if you come to this podcast with at least a smidge of fucking research done.
I know
The
you said
thing
no
is,
Googling Martin, but I have no choice.
I think he is. I don't think he's in at the moment, but he is now. Well, we will be next season.
You don't think
But
he's in at the moment, but he is
seems-
now.
It seems like we've signed like lots of different execs that are doing lots of different roles, and it's hard to keep up. I don't know who's coming in and who's going out. It's ridiculous.
I've got a suggestion. What you should do first: fix that fucking roof. Oh my god, what
It is
a absolute joke that is. That's like the
Brilliant.
visual representation of what United has become. Like,
I think as soon as they get the scaffolding up to fix that, it will signal the start of the new period. But until they just
I didn't
leave
realise it was that bad. I really didn't know it was that bad until I saw it. Was it which game
was
was
the
it?
Arsenal game, wasn't it?
Arsenal game. I didn't realise it was so bad.
To that point, though, what we're doing with that? Are we building a new stadium? I know there's another team of executives trying to sort that out. We've got what's going. It's just I don't know what's
on
going
this
on.
as well, I think looking at that fucking ground now, I think we can all agree that the idea of letting United look after the Wembley of the North is just an absolutely off the table. Like, look at the fucking state of your own house. Like, you can't start looking after other people's. There's absolutely no chance that they should get that money. It's an absolute disgrace for the club.
100% agree.
Yeah, that needs to be completely off the table now.
A Wembley
I'd
of the
rather not
North
have a
is
Wembley of the North than let them look after it, and then it just turned into another decaying wasteland like they're playing at the moment.
We'll probably have time for another discussion on this over the summer, but a Wembley of the North, especially just being handed to Man United, them two things I don't agree with at all. But I think we'll come back to that one, and we'll probably revisit Man United once they start some work this summer. Lots to be done, Luke. Right, let's wrap that up. Let's have a quick break, and we're going to come back to the Fixing Football Podcast Awards. And we're back. Right, boys, we're going to do the Fixing Football Podcast Awards. This is better than any of them other awards that people could have won this season. And I think we need to start with Best Manager. I'd like to hear your nominations. And I think we'll all nominate someone and then decide between us. But I'm going to go first. And without question for me, it's Unai Emery. I think it explains itself. I think they've established themselves well into the top four. And I don't want to go with the obvious Arteta. But I think
Obvious.
Emery is
obvious.
Emery has overachieved, whereas Arteta has done what we tried to do.
Yeah,
But yeah, Emery's my shout. Shut up, man. Just give us
This
your
is why
shout.
everyone hates you. Oh, the obvious choice is Arteta. No, it's not. He's fucking won nothing again. The least obvious choice.
It's
fucking
the
pisses me
least
off.
obvious choice. I'm going to go agree with you. So I'll come in now. I'm going to agree Unai Emery. And I think Emery's done it and playing a very different style of football at the top of the league. It's not this super passing, super high press type of football. It's very unusual, this super compact playing with actually very little running, which you're not used to seeing from top Premier League sides. So he's brought his Villarreal style really into Villa, and he's transformed the club from when he took over when Gerrard was there. Can you remember that? They were like 17th, and in 18 months,
Yeah,
he's
it was
turned
shocking. It
into
was
a
so
Champions
bad.
League club. It's ridiculous. Ollie Watkins, it's like a world beater. It's a ridiculously good job. So it's definitely Unai Emery. Scott, are you going to tell us why it's not Unai Emery?
No, sadly, I would very much like to oppose you and debate it, but I can't really disagree with Unai Emery. I guess an honourable mention goes to Iriola at Bournemouth. I think he's done an absolutely excellent job. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the 12th, they're probably there or thereabouts where I would have them, but I think given how they started, and they were a bit of a mess, and he's coming and the tune he's got out of Dominic Solanke is it's the first time he's looked like a competent Premier League striker. So fair play to him. And also,
really interesting how they finish next year. Building on this as well, bringing in more players to that style. That'd be really interesting. So I do agree. That's a good shout. That.
Yeah, they've added some good players as well. I like Justin Clive. As much as he looks a bit raw and his final product's not great, I think he reminds me of like an Adama Traore style. Like he's a bit hectic, but he will do a bit in a moment. But yeah, got to agree with Emery. I can't really add much to the point she said. Second honourable mention, Oliver Glasner. He looks like he started extremely well. He made Mateta a international quality striker in the space of about 6 weeks. So
yeah, absolutely.
Interested to see how they do next year as well.
Started turning it up in the fantasy league, Mateta. So Glasner takes all the credit for that. He was going to be my honourable mention as well. Luke, who's your shout?
Yeah, I do Unai Emery as well, just because he did the double over Arsenal.
Yeah, it's the only reason he deserves it. So well done.
Even I'm not that salty. Jeez.
Well done, Unai Emery. You cost me 2 weekends of good evening messages from a certain idiot in this group. So thank you. Yes, no, I was saying obvious choice Arteta is because it would be me saying it, and that's why I was saying obvious, not because he should be.
More backpedaling.
Oh God. Speak about this backwards Pochettino train talking over here. Right. I'm going to go to best player of the season. And I'm going to start with Luke Foley.
I'm going to go for my original player that I said in the predictions, and that was Declan Rice. The reason why is because Arsenal's defence has been spectacular, and I think Rice was a major part of that.
Fair point. And it was nice of you to get at least one prediction right, so fair enough. Liam, player of the season.
I think it's hard to not give it Phil Foden, isn't it? Been unbelievably good this year. The way he takes the ball left, right, and centre, the way he goes past players. I think it's really hard to not give it Phil Foden. I think Declan Rice had a very good year. I was very close to giving it to Cole Palmer, though. Very close to giving it Cole Palmer. Unbelievable season. But the best players play for the best team. So I'm a bit of a believer in that, apart from the odd situation. So I'm going with Phil Foden.
Your choice.
Yeah, I'm going to say Declan Rice. Again, similar the Foden and Palmer came in very close. I think Palmer, just from sheer surprise of how good he actually turned out to be versus what most people were expecting. He had an incredible year anyway by any standard, but the fact that he did it in this pretty average Chelsea team at the moment is class. And Phil Foden's been, enough has been written and said about Phil Foden, but I think Phil Foden's excellent, but you could take him away from Man City and they probably wouldn't notice the difference. Whereas you can't say that about Declan Rice. So I think that's why Declan Rice is my player of the year.
Yep. I have just gone with Phil Foden, especially for what he did on the last day. Just getting that goal early on, amazing finish. I can't wait to see how Southgate ruins that this summer. But for me, it's Phil Foden. I think, and as well, the amount of time that Haaland and De Bruyne spent out of the team this season, he really put Man City on his back. And fair play is it's the only wholesome part about Man City is the fact that he's had such a good season. Yeah, but Rice was a close second for me. Outstanding. My next category, I wanted to go with best young player, but I also, in the chat, I put rookie as in someone who's, because the best young player somehow just misses out on the, like in the PFA Awards, misses out on the player of the season as well. Like Phil Foden still qualifies for both. some of the players were nominated for both, like Cole Palmer, and rightly so. Cole Palmer's 22, I think. Like Saka's 22. I think he was only nominated for one of the awards in the PFA one. So for me, best young player, I would like that to be a bit younger, but I like the idea of a rookie of the year, as in someone who's had their first season sort of at this level. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. For me, this one would be Cole Palmer because it's his sort of, I know he had a sort of bit part role at Man City last season. I don't know, he probably got about 5 starts and maybe 20 appearances or something overall. But
yeah,
this season was probably his breakthrough year in terms of his career prior to his move to Chelsea, because he scored against Arsenal in the Community Shield. He started that match and played really well. And then obviously the move happened and he's gone on to have the season that he had. So for me, without doubt, it's Cole Palmer, this one.
Can't disagree.
And I'm happy for anyone to jump in with the next one. Let's go.
Genuinely can't disagree. I can't think of anybody else who's up there, but go on, Liam. Who have you got?
So Cole Palmer, definitely on the young side. When you said rookie, that got me thinking a little bit. I quite like that idea. The idea of first season in the Premier League, not just young player.
Yeah.
Because I would say Van der Ven at Tottenham has been unbelievably good.
I agree. I think he's been very good. I actually had Vicario as one of my signings of the season up until sort of the last 6 to 8 weeks where he started coming under a bit of pressure, but I think he'd had a great season up until then. So like rookie season, but yeah, Van der Ven, Liam, I think he's a good shout. Scott, you were saying about Palmer?
Yeah, Palmer, I think he looks every inch top quality player. He's got to go and do it again next season and prove it wasn't just a bit of a one season wonder. But if he can replicate even something close to that year on year, he's going to be something special. Rookie of the year, in terms of someone new in the league, I'm going to pull up your boy, Liam, Alfie Doughty from Luton. I think he's had a good year. And I think he's been a big part of why Luton haven't looked as bad as we all said. I know it doesn't sound like glowing praise, but I think he's stood out in a team that everyone said was going to get absolutely dominated, and they put up a good fight. So yeah, shout to Alfie Doughty.
Are you saying, Scott, get him on the plane?
Yes, I am. Get him on the plane.
You heard it here first. Get Alfie Doughty on the plane.
It's interesting because we've got a training squad announcement tomorrow or Tuesday when this announces. So I suspect that's going to be like 30 players and then whittled down to 26 for the start of the Euros. So we'll discuss that next week. Luke, young player / rookie of the season.
I went for Cole Palmer as well. I think he's, just to reiterate what we always saying, I think, he's been outstanding. He was, what Liam said, he was close to probably maybe winning the player of the season as well. I think it's going to be difficult to do that England team. I think, does he start in front of Saka? Potentially.
Absolutely does.
I concur. Another player just very quickly came to mind, Adam Wharton at Crystal Palace, who they signed from Blackburn. He is, apparently we were looking at him, and naturally all of Chelsea's Twitter went into meltdown that how dare we look at a player from the Championship, but he looks unbelievably composed for someone so new to the league and so young. So yeah, keep an eye out for him. Won't be surprised if he's a fixture in the England team in the next few years.
Yeah, still very young as well. Sorry, Lynn, go on.
Coming to that, speaking of Blackburn players, it'll be interesting to see if anyone takes a punt on Sammy Smodic as well. Sort of playing midfield, but then moved up front because he's got about 1 million goals playing for Blackburn in a team that could have gone down. But he's 28, so it'll be interesting to see if someone takes a punt on him as well this year.
Interesting. No, I liked what I saw of Wharton when he come in. I want to move on to best goal. I think this one's going to be quite obvious, but it's got to be Garnacho, right? Has anyone got anything other than the Garnacho goal that it could be?
I like Alexis McAllister's first goal for Liverpool. That was an absolute screamer. And Rashford's against City was top class as well, despite my opinions on good old Marcus. But yeah, I think Garnacho's was spectacular, wasn't it? Not really sure anything topped that.
Right, clean sweep for that. Let's go to worst signing. I know we spoke about this a little bit last week when we was reviewing the predictions, but Luke, I want to hear your thoughts on worst signing of the season.
I would go for Lavia to Chelsea. 62 million, 36 minutes played. Great signing.
That. I don't think it's a bad signing because of the player. I just think because he just hasn't kicked a ball. In terms of return on investment up for that, it's a terrible deal so far.
Have we got any changes? I had Mason Mount last week, and I think that's nailed on. I didn't see where he fit in anyway. Clearly, Ten Hag still doesn't see where he fits, even when he is fit to play. He doesn't know where he fits in the team. So I'm sticking with Mason Mount for my nomination for that one. Liam?
I think not only the signing of Rasmus Højlund, aka, as Luke said, the new Haaland, not just that signing, but the idea that they didn't press for Harry Kane because of Højlund, I think is absolutely outrageous. I think he's an astonishingly bad player. Like, I don't know what he does, to be honest. And I don't understand the easy ride he seems to be getting from the media. I can't get my head around it because I don't
it's so
know
true that. It's
what
so
his
true.
strengths are. I mean, I'm told he's quick, he's strong, he's good on the ball. I'm not seeing any of this. I'm just seeing a lump up front. When you could have got Gyökeres for 15 to 20 million, which I said on this podcast, but oh no, we've got the new Haaland was all I kept hearing. But
Who said that?
You're probably going to
Who
spend
said that?
$1 million on Gyökeres now, just because he's had one good year in Portugal. So whatever,
You?
you know. Obviously I don't know what I'm talking about, but yeah, new Haaland is my choice of worst signing. Not just this season, but for quite a few seasons.
Ever. Scott, any
Yeah,
agreement?
My pick has also shifted. I think Højlund's been a very bad signing. But my pick was, I think it was Mount / Havertz still. But I actually think it's one that we've probably all forgot about, which illustrates how bad it was, is Mateus Nunes to Man City. Because for Sporting Lisbon and for Wolves, he looked excellent. I remember he played a game against us and it was a season where it wasn't too hard to do. He absolutely tore us to pieces. And I have as you all know, I have a good friend who is a big Sporting Lisbon fan and watched him for a long time. And he has nothing but glowing reviews about Mateus Nunes. And if someone like you sort of think in a year where they had no Gundogan, De Bruyne's injured all the time, still wasn't able to get into the Man City team. And I think for what they paid for him and the potential that he had under a manager like Pep, something's gone horribly wrong there. And I think that it's been an absolutely abysmal signing for all involved.
Can I just jump in on that while we're talking about Man City's no-mark rotating midfielders?
Yep.
What about Calvin Phillips' loan to West Ham? Has there been a more honking loan?
Oh, good God.
This one was absolute honking is the right word. Absolute shite. And instead of reviving his career, he's almost finished himself off by going to West Ham. It's it's a good shout. The fact that it's loan though, and there's not much outlay probably sways it for me.
Scott makes an interesting point, and maybe this is a talk for another day, but is Pep too easy to give up on this type of player that doesn't hit the straps immediately? Is he too quick to turn on 40, 50, 60 million pound signings like
probably? Yeah, because
maybe.
And then especially like he brought Grealish in, and Grealish didn't hit the ground running really, but the fact that they've outlaid so much for him sort of bought him a bit more time.
As far as I'm concerned, Grealish is still yet to run. He's awful. He had another shocking season.
Right, let's move on. Hold on, do we have an agreement there? Luke, do you want to have a deciding vote here? No. Worst signing?
Agreeing on Højlund?
No.
I agree on Højlund. I would be happy if that was the winning choice.
It's Højlund or Mount.
No, it's off. Calvin Phillips a good shout.
Keep it away.
I'm not having Højlund as the worst sign. United can't be the worst everything on this list.
You can. You were the worst everything.
He's not been good.
No, he's not been good.
You had the second worst season of all involved. Only Brentford lost more points compared to last season than you.
Minus one goal difference. Minus one goal difference. And a 70 million striker.
I think it's Mount. I think I'll double down on Mason Mount. He's been terrible.
Right, that's solid. I'll get the social media post ready and the award sent out. Right, I want to go to worst moments. If you can pick out one from the season. I don't know how you interpret that as an award. Well, so I've got two
Worst
really.
moment.
I think I know why you've put this in, and I think I know what you're going to choose. You're going to talk
So
about
do I.
Newcastle Arsenal goal, aren't you? That's why you put this in.
That was my close second one because we spoke about it at length. But I think in the grand scheme of everything, it wasn't the worst moment of the season. It was a shit moment for me and potentially a moment that cost us the league in the end. But potentially, I said potentially.
It was
That's
a legitimate goal.
It wasn't legitimate at all. Bloody PGMOL apologists have been out in force. Listen, the worst moment by far of the season for me was the VAR faff at Spurs v Liverpool right at the start of the season with the whole Luis Diaz disallowed goal that wasn't checked, or I can't even remember how it was explained now, but it was an absolute fuck up by everyone involved, and yeah, it was a big moment for a long time, and I don't know if anyone else agrees or has got anything else they want to add to something, but yeah, by the way, the Newcastle one was a close second.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was going to go, but not so much obviously it was a bit of a bit of a farce and a shit stop. But the specific part of that I really think was the worst was when basically the PGMOL or the FA or whoever it was basically rolled over and handed to Liverpool. So, oh yeah, here's the recording. Oh yeah, we'll do anything you want. Oh, we'll take this official off your game. That's never happened to anybody else. And I thought that was just any other club wouldn't have got the treatment that Liverpool got in that whole scenario. Don't get me wrong, it was a completely incorrect. But whatever happened it was valid that it was wrong, but just the way that they kissed Liverpool's arse in the aftermath, I just thought it was a bit sickening. So yeah, I'm in agreement.
Can I just say as well, looking at this list, I think it says a lot about us as human beings that on this list we've got worst moment, but not best moment. Like that, I think that's a pretty damning indictment of us as humans. That
I assume that was coming next.
I wrote a lot of best this, best that, and I know it's an awards night, but these are our awards, and we could choose what we want. Plus, I'm just going to say there was no suggestions from the rest of the group, so this is what we're stuck with.
Okay, well, I think we can move on from that one. I think we can.
And I actually couldn't highlight a best moment for myself, really, because I know celebrating's frowned upon in this group, so I've sort of discounted most of them moments from my brain and memory.
My best moment was Palmer's goal against United.
Definitely that 5 minutes. It's definitely that. That was. I'm not just saying this because Luke's shaking his head and looking at me like, here we go again. I'm not just saying it. It was brilliant. It was brilliant football.
It was great TV. Luke, have you got a worse moment other than that Cole Palmer goal?
Yes. I'm going for the 9-point deduction for Everton. How they just kind of plucked it out of the air to give him 9 points, and then kind of with the appeal to give him 6 points. I think it was not thought through. I think it was just it in the grand scale of things, and when everyone keeps mentioning it with the City charges, I just think it was just. It didn't look good in the league. Just a 9 point. Oh, there we go. That Everton deducted. I felt it was just very off the cuff, if anything.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's probably set the precedent as well for a lot of years running. Or they're just going to change the rules to suit whoever it needs to suit. Liam, did you pick one then? Have you got a standout worst moment?
Yeah, I think hashtag release the tapes is probably as low as it goes.
Yeah, the whole Liverpool thing and the aftermath of that. I think that gets the award this year. What else did I have?
Well, I'm gonna give you one of the ones that you had because I think it leads on perfectly. This you put biggest dickheads, and
go on. How did you interpret this? Who gets that award for you?
Well, I think as bad as Liverpool were in all that, and maybe they did set the release the tapes precedent. I think how Nottingham Forest were when they fought on the back of some decisions. Oh my Lord, Christ Almighty! Like, have you ever seen a team play the victim as much as Nottingham Forest were. Like Mark Clattenburg stepping down from his chair to basically throw all his mates under the bus, despite knowing full well like the decision making process. They were horrific, Forest.
Yeah. By the way, that was my nomination as well.
Yeah,
But
every part of the season they've left. Everything they've touched, they've left a sour taste in. Absolutely horrible club. But yeah,
I agree.
Fine.
They are a horrible club. Biggest dickheads are we on?
yeah,
Those two dickheads who were dancing in the crowd at the Emirates. That couple. Fuck them. Arseholes. Oh, God, we're so happy. Fuck off.
was that after I'm trying to think what was that after the 5-0 against Chelsea?
It was after
you'd
Chelsea
celebrated-
got absolutely dry bummed at the Emirates Stadium. That's exactly what it was after.
But and as we all know, celebrating is bad. In any way, no matter how in love you are and how nice the
No.
story is behind it, celebrating it in any form is bad. Luke?
Celebrating's fine. Celebrating like that is sickening. I hope they break up.
I hope they get married. Luke,
What about you, Luke? Who's the biggest dickhead?
I'm going to go for a bit of a controversial one here. I'm going to
keep
go
it
for
PG.
Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah,
because-
I'll jump on that bandwagon. Fuck it, yeah.
Only
Hate him.
because I think it was very selfish of him to announce he's tired and he's leaving the end of Liverpool. And since that, they have been dog shit. And basically, we talk about bottling. They have truly bottled the league. They was in a pole position and look at them. Terrible.
Well, they have won a cup since then.
Yeah,
I feel like they
yeah.
wasted all that momentum on the Carabao Cup, though. They could have saved it. They probably could have won the Carabao Cup without the Klopp victory parade or whatever, the Klopp farewell tour.
I think it was.
For later.
I think it was the same week he announced it. I think it was the same week they had with the final.
No.
I think
I
it
think you were a
was.
bit.
About 3
I
months
can't
ago.
remember exactly.
That's a fair one, but I think with 2 votes to, it's a fair opinion, but with 2 votes to Nottingham Forest, they get it. Them and their owners and whoever else wants to be involved. Congratulations,
Well done, Forest.
Nottingham. Last award, I don't think I've missed any, but last award is worst pundit. I could change it. Most annoying pundit. I wanted to do a full episode on pundits, and we still might, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. How you interpreted that? What who you've gone for? Scott, let's start with you.
My worst pundit. He's not a pundit. This is an honourable mention before I get to my actual pick. Peter Drury. He's not a pundit, but he's in the football media. He's awful. I can't stand listening to his epic Greek poems for Fulham versus Luton. I don't need it. Just fuck off. No, just commentate on the game and get on with your job. But the
Liam?
worst pundit.
Oh, sorry, no, go on, yeah.
No, he was my honourable mention because he's not. I wouldn't call him a pundit as such, but he needed to get smoke. The worst pundit, possibly in the history of the world, is Eni Luco. And I don't even know if I need to. I don't even know if I need to explain why. You just need to listen to her for longer than 3.5 minutes, longer than your average song, and you will understand that she knows nothing about football. So, yeah, that's my pick.
We might have one or few Joey Barton fans around here. If we can get any, just 4
Yeah,
like
all subscribe and follow. More hot
That's right.
takes like that.
I mean, she definitely ain't my favourite. But Liam, who's your pick?
Worst pundit. I'm going to go with Alan McCoist. Alan McCoist.
The beloved Ali McCoist.
Yeah.
This
He
is
offers
why he's the
absolutely
worst.
No insight whatsoever. Doesn't
Correct.
really know what he's watching. His whole brand is, look how much I'm enjoying myself all the time.
Yes.
And after about 15 years of it every single day on TalkSport, with him just agreeing with whatever's in front of him, on telling a mindless and brain-numbing story about what he got up to with Paul Gascoigne, where he can shoehorn him wherever he can, it's boring, and I don't get why one likes it so much. Honestly, it's so boring. And
I agree.
Yeah, at some point, I'd like to learn something while watching it, other than how good this game is. And hey, I tell you what, we've got some players on show today, haven't we? Like and everyone just nodding on, going, "Isn't this great? Oh, he's just like us, isn't he?" Like, no, No.
Yes,
Alan
I
McCoy, definitely.
couldn't agree more. Fucking hell.
Luke, you're shaking your head. You're disappointed.
Yeah,
Clearly.
because Liam's showing his Scottish colours again. The only reason he don't like Alan McCoy is he's fucking Celtic. That's the single reason. That's the only reason.
Did Liam tell a single lie just then when he was speaking?
What he's basically saying someone's enjoying football, and then you can't do that. You're not allowed to.
No, I'm saying we can enjoy football. I'm just saying
Go on.
He likes to learn
I
as well.
can enjoy the football. He's there to tell me what's going on in the football. But all he just talks about is, oh, this is AC/DC. Like, oh, hey, I'll tell you what, it's loading here tonight, isn't it? Yeah, it is, yeah. Yeah,
70,000 people in here, Ali.
it's loading the fucking Allianz Arena, yeah. Like 90,000 people, whatever. Fucking hell, nice one. Yeah, no. I'm an objective person. Nothing to do with Celtic Rangers. I'm objective. People who listen to the podcast will know that I'm an objective person, and that doesn't come into it at all. Yeah, I think. But again, look, you've not offered your own. All you're doing is swiping and sniping other people's suggestions. You've not offered your own pundit, Luke. Who do you think?
Liam, the public should know by now that you're a little turd, and the only reason you don't like Alan McCoy is because he's a Rangers.
I think Liam made some honest opinions there, Luke.
Oh.
I don't agree. I like Alan McCoy. He's one
Luke
of
is
us
still yet
in my
to
eyes.
offer an alternative solution.
No, he's just ready to kick you, Liam. That's all he's ready for. Luke, who is your vote for worst pundit?
Gary Neville.
Yes, this is mine.
Interesting. Because he thinks he has all the power of everything. He's like the man of football. So that's my choice, Gary Neville. I'm sick of hearing about him. All these shows and everything. It's just give it a rest.
Yeah, I agree. He's been not that I think he's a bad pundit. I just think he's rammed down our throats too much. The fact that he has everything has to be somehow related to him and his class of footballers. Don't know if you've ever heard of this group of players that he came through with, but you don't know, if you put your head out a window for 5 minutes, you might hear someone talking about him and his fucking football team that he played 25 years ago. It's just too much. And he's got to be right. And the fact is, he has these amazing big platforms and a really big podcast, and that are good most of the time. But the fact that everything just gets shoehorned back to Man United or back to this or back to him being right and having the right say and stuff, it's just, it's too much, Gary Neville. That's my view.
I think that's fair.
I think that wraps it.
Wait till he's Mayor of Manchester, because that'll definitely happen at some point.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, isn't it?
He might have changed sides by then, depending on his tax bill. Right, I didn't put this in the message, but we'll wrap this up with our combined team of the season. We're going to go 4-3-3. We're going to wrap it up here. Scott, I want your shout for goalkeeper, and if anyone disagrees, speak up.
Goalkeeper, probably Vicario.
Liam, not happy with that?
Obviously Pickford, isn't it? Like
Pickford.
It's clearly
What
Pickford.
you want about?
No, it's not Pickford.
On what grounds is it for Jordan Pickford?
He's been
By what
exceptional
metric?
all season. Like,
The fact that it's David Raya.
David Raya. Martin, come on.
Most
This is going to be a
clean
serious.
Arsenal's best keeper.
Most clean
It's going to
sheet.
be a serious podcast. This we're going to be
Most clean
talking
sheets.
sense.
Yeah, the guy who won the Golden Glove. That's what I'm going for.
Oh,
Right.
Fucking hell.
Actually, Luke, your casting vote here. Luke, best goalkeeper.
I'll go for Anana.
So our team has decided to play with no goalkeeper.
Can we agree on
Sam Johnston? Put him in.
I'll agree on Vicario if that moves us on.
Yes.
I go for Vicario. I think he's had a great 3/4 of a season.
Yeah. Okay. Vicario's in there. So
even though it's David Raya, and that's what will go in the graphic at the end of this.
Who's right back?
Right back, Liam.
I did think Ben White, but I think Kyle Walker probably steals it. It's just been consistently good all year.
That's two wrong answers, Scott.
I would go. and I'm not looking at the teams before. Look at how they've done in that position. Diogo Dallo or Malagusto. I think Malagusto.
Okay. Right. So we'll put Ben White as right back. Let's go with left back.
No, this is just the Arsenal fucking first team. David Raya, Ben White. Oh, is it Saliba and fucking Gabriel next? I bet.
They are the centre backs, by the
Yeah.
way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
No,
Fucking.
I'll go
Left
Saliba and Van de Ven.
Left back. I'm going with. I'm going with Gvardiol. I think I know he's not probably a full.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. He's not a left back, but I think he's been brilliant, especially since he found his feet. Had a bit of a rocky start, but for me, he's probably gone in as best left back.
He's played about 5 good games. He was literally being called a waste of money for about 60% of the season.
Yeah, he was.
That's my shout. Liam, who's your shout?
Alfie Dowie, obviously. Get him on the plane, train. Get him there. Starting.
The plane train. Luke, left back.
Undogi.
Udogie.
Udogie, so.
Udogi. Or
Udogie.
I think Dan Burns had a good season as well.
Okay.
Again, incorrect. I want to move to centre backs. Liam, you can have. It is the correct answer is Gabriel and Saliba,
No, it's
but
not.
I'm going to let you.
It's not.
You mentioned Van der Ven,
Van de Ven and
I'll give you.
Saliba.
I'll give you that. Scott, any change on that? Maybe Thiago Silva or one of them other randoms you've got centre back.
No, I agree with Liam.
Luke,
I agree with you, mine, to be fair.
yeah, because that's the right answer. Let's move into centre midfield or midfield 3, however you want to choose them.
Party and Rice.
It's not Party. It's definitely Rice is definitely one of them. That's probably.
So it's Rice, Foden, and De Bruyne, isn't it? Should we just move on?
De Bruyne? Oh, he's barely fucking played.
Yeah, it's not De Bruyne. Can't have De Bruyne.
If De
I
Bruyne
love
plays-
him. Like, he's brilliant.
better in the league.
I
De
agree.
Bruyne as what?
If he plays 1 minute of the season, he's still better than. You're gonna put in.
No, you can't. No, I'm not doing that. That's outrageous.
Oh, actually, Rodri. Are we having Rodri in there?
Yeah. I'm going to go with Rice, Rodri, and Foden. I think he's probably the 3. Does anyone disagree?
Well, yeah, but because you're not putting De Bruyne in, so of course.
Liam, I love De Bruyne more than anyone, so I'd love to have him in. But I think that's fair.
Best player, isn't he? Like,
Yeah, but I'm trying to promote love as well.
What about Guimaraes? I think he's had a
Ooh.
good year.
I think
Bruno, Rice, and Foden.
What
for
about
me,
Casemiro?
Newcastle have underwhelmed a lot this season. So I'm struggling, other than Anthony Gordon, I'm struggling to think of anyone who's had a good season for them.
I just told you one.
Yeah, he's been okay. I don't think he's been better than any of the other 3 who we've already mentioned.
Okay.
Right, so that's the 3. Rodri, Rice, and Phil Foden.
Yeah, okay, go on.
Wingers, we'll score just a left and a right winger and a striker. So,
Gordon and
Palmer.
yeah. Gordon and Palmer.
Yeah. I'll nodding around the board. Use your words, people.
Yeah.
Gordon and Palmer.
Yeah.
And then striker.
Ollie
Liam,
Watkins.
you start us off.
Ollie Watkins.
Luke, disagree?
I agree.
Scott, any change on that?
No. Yeah, Watkins. Probably, he's been the best overall. Yeah, Ollie Watkins.
Yeah. So 3 incorrect answers. The correct answer was Kai Havertz, unfortunately. So that's how we're going to leave that. All right, you can all shake your heads. That's fine. Let's have a laugh. It's clearly Ollie Watkins. Everyone loves Ollie Watkins. He's great. Just calm it down. I can say some nice things about Arsenal sometimes.
Early on in the season, none of us put Ollie Watkins in our England team.
No, we didn't.
Fucking hell.
I'm leaving Harry Kane at home in mine anyway.
They're taking 26 now, aren't they? So they don't have to worry about that Tony Watkins thing. That's gone now.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'd take Tony, but I think the penalties thing is different. Anyway, we'll get to that next week.
Leave Kane at home.
It's our only chance.
He's not. His loser will infect us all.
Right. Thank you, boys, very much for that. So there are all our awards, team of the season, everything done. It's been a fun season. Next week.
It's not. It's been horrible.
Yeah,
Horrible season.
but just remember that you've had this podcast to document it all. United's worst ever season in the Premier League. You've had this on record for life to help commemorate it, and it's been fun for us. Liam, how do you think our first season as a podcast has done?
Really, really well. I think we're probably the greatest podcast in the world.
And I reckon so. I'm trying to think of a competitor, but I don't see one. I only see people below us. So next week, we're probably going to kick off our Euro 2024 campaign. We've got squads to be seen, potential leagues to be announced. And
FA Cup.
What?
FA Cup final next week.
Oh, God. Luke, no one cares, mate. I'm
You
sorry.
can see the season.
You can't. It's still a failure. Hold on. Answer me this. Our leaving remark. If Ten Hag wins the FA Cup, if Man United win the FA Cup, should Ten Hag stay?
No, get rid of
Right.
him.
Cool. So it doesn't save anything.
It should be soon. When you get in Southgate after the Euros.
No, we're getting
Exciting.
Xavi.
Klopp.
Xavi. May as well have Southgate.
Listen, lots to be decided. Thank you everyone for watching. Thanks for tuning in. You can catch all the information about this week's and next week's and last week's episode on www.fixingfootballpodcast.com. Please share it with someone who else you might think wants to watch it and listen. Subscribe, because that helps us out a lot with the algorithms and stuff like that and makes more people see it and helps us prove that we are the best podcast in the world. And Liam, Luke, Scott, thank you very much. Been a good season, and we ain't stopping here. We'll still be back every week. So catch you all soon.
In a bit.
Farewell. Goodbye.
Right.